Hello everyone, welcome to Eminent Personality Webinars. As you know, this is organized by TechnoBiz. I welcome you all for this special program on the Eminent Personality Webinars. Just give you a quick intro to what is Eminent Personality is about. It's all about the professional journey of the eminent persons who are well respected, well experienced in their own field. And more importantly, this webinar is about the learning opportunity for younger generation from these eminent persons. That's a main object of it. So these with huge experience, with the lessons they learned in their 4 or 5, 6 decades of their professional journey. And so we invited various people to be part of this webinar and share their professional experience and their journey, lessons learned. So this is all an object of this Eminent Personality Webinars. There are 2 themes for this program. One is Eminent Rubber Industry Professional. We're focusing on the people involved with the rubber industry, rubber, tire, latex industries. And also we have a scientist segment also working as scientists and those people. So but again, under these 2 themes, there are 2 subsections. One is in conversation. It's like today's program. Another one is the legacy. The person, they are no longer in the physical level, and no longer they passed away, but their journeys, their experience will be discussed in the legacy of the program. Okay, the sole object of Eminent Personality Webinars is about eminent persons and their journey, whether they're alive or not there. Okay, so this is a brief theme about it. Today we are all here for the in conversation with eminent rubber industry professionals. Okay. Probably you may have seen we have invited a number of eminent persons in the past. We are actually in episode number 10. And I wanted to convey my special thanks to Dr. Samar Bandyopadhyaya, who is actually doing together partly, to putting together, inviting the respective eminent persons. And also special thanks to Mrs. Yugandha Piyadasa. She's an MD of the TechnoBiz Lanka. She actually, when I asked her who would be the first person to invite, from the Sri Lankan rubber industry professional, she suggested and nominated Mr. Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa, and also many other rubber industry friends, well-wishers and supporters. And thanks to all of you. Okay, and also special thanks to our groups, Rubber Technology Network, and also Rubber and Tire Digest. And special thanks to our Society for Industrial Chemistry, which is an association, a society, professional body of the scientists, chemists, and chemical engineers. They're based in India, and they're actually supporting the journey of the Eminent Personality Webinars. I do encourage, if you're an engineer, if you are a chemist or a scientist, I do encourage to be a member of this Industrial Chemistry Society. You can go to the website industrialchem.org. We have a co-host for this event, the Wholewell Components, which is a company focusing on one-stop solution for all elastomeric needs. Actually, they want to be part of this project. They're supporting the join as co-host. And also special thanks to the MD of this company, Mr. Kamlesh Jain. All these Eminent Personality Webinars we screen after this program live session is over. It is available on the YouTube and on the TechnoBiz channel. So if you're interested, you always go to this our TechnoBiz channel to watch current and the past recorded Eminent Personality Webinars. Today we're all here it's all about Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. He's 76 years old and rubber industry, vast experience running the empire of the DSI Samson Group, and with a 52 years experience. So he will be discussing today and sharing his journey, his lessons learned, and the challenges, and so we learn from his own words. And so please stand by. The agenda will be today is going to be like this. First, of course, like these remarks. Then we have video presentation about our co-host and TechnoBiz. Then Dr. Rajapaksa will share his journey and achievements, lessons learned. Then we invite some of his colleagues and friends to share their association about Dr. Rajapaksa. And then we have a Q&A session. That's the whole agenda today. Okay, let's quickly show you the video of our Wholewell components. Please stand by. that's about the presentation on the our co-host whole components. Special thanks to Mr. Kamalesh Jain for being part of this project. Okay, I'm showing you the TechnoBiz presentation. It will be around 10 minutes long on what some of you may not know what is TechnoBiz. For them to understand our activities, let's have a presentation on the TechnoBiz. Okay, thank you very much. That's the quick, that is the best quick presentation on the TechnoBiz, what we are doing. Hopefully that you have understanding about what TechnoBiz is offering for the rubber and tire industries. Okay, so the main story about today is all about Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. He is a 76 years old rubber industry professional. He is Emeritus Managing Director of the DSI Samson Group in Sri Lanka with 52 years experience. So let's hear about him. So Dr. Rajapaksa sir, welcome to the program. Please open your webcam and also speaker, please. Yes. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay, sir. Proceed. Yes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dear Mr. Prasad, Mr. Viram Prasad, the convener of this event. Dear friends, I was asked to relate the long journey of DSI Samson Group, which we have been operating during last 5 decades. With the time frame given, I will brief how we have converted all challenges that we have faced into opportunities. The first challenge is the reason to set up the first shoe factory as far back in 1962 was the restriction of import of consumer items, including footwear as far back in 1960s. My father was importing footwear before. With the restriction, he wrote to all the suppliers of footwear that import footwear has been banned. Therefore, we are planning to manufacture footwear in Sri Lanka. There were two main suppliers of footwear. One was in UK, the other one is from Japan. We wrote to both the parties to help us to manufacture footwear by supplying machinery, raw materials, and most importantly, the know-how. UK party flatly refused, informing that it is a very impossible task to manufacture footwear for a small country like Sri Lanka. Japanese party was very smart. They agreed to our proposal, but on certain conditions, that we buy all the raw materials and machinery exclusively from them, not from any other parties. So we agreed on that. So they offered us the required basic machinery and the required raw materials in small volumes, initially to make samples and trials. The know-how was given by sending photos and drawings by airmail. As far back in 1962, there was no fax, no email, no internet. The few pairs that we made with the limited materials that we supplied came out very well, with of course little shortcomings, but that was not an issue in selling, as there were very few shoemakers in Sri Lanka during that period. There was one multinational company in operation, but as major part of population was not wearing footwear, there was a market for new entrants as well. The multinational company was selling footwear in metropolitan areas, whereas we were marketing our products in remote villages. During this time, all the required raw materials needed, we had to get a license. And the production volume depends on the size of the license. Bigger the license, market share also got increased. So we started manufacturing footwear but we did not have rubber factory. So we need rubber soles. So to manufacture rubber soles, we need the rubber compound. So we did not have a mixing department. Therefore, we bought rubber compound from another party who had the mixing facility. We were in a serious disadvantaged position due to non-availability of rubber mixing plant, as the sulfur compound we purchased from other parties cannot be kept for more than few days due to scorching. So the need of rubber mixing plant we felt very badly. So we went to Japan, myself and my father, looked for machinery such as mixing mills and other mixing equipments. When we visited the factory in Japan, who are making rubber soles, we saw they are making not only the rubber soles, they are making these microcellular rubber sheets as well, apart from rubber soles, the molded operation. So I got an opportunity of studying the manufacturing operation of soles, molded sole operations, as well as the microcellular sheet manufacturing process. Those microcellular sheets are required to manufacture flip-flops. We also call the flip-flop, some are calling as beach channels or rubber slippers. So I received this opportunity of manufacturing this rubber molded soles, then the mixing operation, and the sponge rubber sheets manufacturing that is required for flip-flops. The factory was located in Kobe in Japan. At that time, it was in the town council. So there was a rule at that time, all the factories located in metropolitan areas, especially in towns, to be moved out of the town. So this particular factory also has received ultimatum to move that factory out of the metropolitan areas to remote areas. So at that time only we have visited this factory. So they told us, we have been asked to move out the factory. So we don't want to take the same old machinery to the other factory locating outside. We are prepared to dispose all the entire factory. We are prepared to dispose because the government has given a facility. If you dispose the factory to the local party, there's a rebate of 25%. If you manage to export the entire factory or the machinery, you get a rebate of 75% from the government. So they were very keen in exporting the rubber machinery in that factory. So with the 75% rebate, we had to pay a very marginal amount for the entire machinery. So we calculated the investment, and we found that it's a good deal where we pay only the 25% of the value of the machinery valued at that time. So these machines are also used fairly long time, maybe about 5-10 years. So, but still the value of the machines were working. So we thought that we offer that 25% to them, and they agreed. And not only that, they agreed, they said they will also give the technical know-how and send the personnel to Sri Lanka, not only to install machinery, but even to give the technical know-how. So that was a good bonus to us. So immediately we agreed. And not only we bought machinery, we bought the machinery on all the required utensils and molds and everything we bought. It was a very good offer. So we immediately grabbed it. So then I asked the party who sold the machinery, now you have sold the machinery to us. We are going to manufacture almost the same product in Sri Lanka, and we are going to export, and we are going to compete with you all. But how would you think about it? So the stock answer they gave is, when we have sold the machinery which we have used for 10 years and with the old technology. So if you are, when we are installing the machinery in the new place, we are going to buy the latest machinery with high technology and high output. You will definitely not be able to compete with us because our productivity will be very, very much higher than the machineries that you are going to lose. So therefore, you all are not going to be a competitor to us. So in reality, that happened because the new machinery that they have taken has higher output, efficient, lower wastage, all that was there. So we knew that very well we will not be able to compete with them in the export market. But the local market, we can compete because local market, there were no competition much because there were no imports as well. So, so we got all the machinery, and there were two Japanese who came to Sri Lanka to give us the know-how and install the machinery and all that. So with that, we were able to start the production within a very, very short period. So early 1970, import restriction prevailed, but government encouraged all the local manufacturers to export because government did not have enough foreign exchange to import raw materials and machinery. So they encouraged all the local factories to export their products. So exporting, as you all know, is not all that easy, but still for all, they encourage, and they launched a scheme saying that export or perish. The Minister of Industries launched this program, export or perish. So therefore, we had to do pell-mell and do exports even at cost. So we don't mind even we need dollars, so we thought even at cost we should export. During this time, I think Mr. Caldera may remember, those who are here, there was a Israel-Middle East conflict. That turned into a war situation, and finally, all the Middle East countries on one side, Israel on one side, and Israel won the war. As a result, all Saudi Arabian countries enforced some conditions to other countries not to have relationship with Israel and restricted trading activities. So this means anybody who is exporting to Israel or having relations with Israel will not be permitted to export products to Saudi Arabian countries. Of course, this restriction didn't last for a long period, but at least for a short period, it was the situation. So at that time, we also got inquiries asking for whether we could supply footwear to Saudi Arabian customers. Of course, our factory was not geared at all to handle export, but still for all, since Japan and Korea was not supplying to the Saudi Arabian market, our footwear, even though not up to the export standard, was accepted by Japan and Saudi Arabian countries, at least for a short period. So we got a chance of exporting slippers and sandals to Saudi Arabia. So those were accepted to them, and it was for them it was fairly acceptable, even though the quality is not to the same level as Japanese, but still it was manageable. So we made use of this opportunity to get extra licenses from the ministry to manufacture and handle export orders. So because of the export orders that we have, we also received licenses to import raw materials, and the licenses granted was in excess of the requirement of export order. So we managed to use part of the license value to manufacture some of the products to the local market as well. So therefore, we were able to increase our market share with the extra licenses that we give, while at the same time exporting to Saudi Arabia. So with this situation, our financial situation also improved, and we expanded our rubber plant to increase the flip-top production and also molded sole production. The investment of rubber plant, as all of you all know, is very heavy. All the internal mixers, machines are very heavy and very high energy consuming equipments. So when we installed this machinery, we found those machines are idling because we are not utilizing the full capacity. So we looked the possibility of making only flip-flops and molded soles will not be enough to keep the machineries occupied even for a few days of the week, because the capacity is very high. So we must have some other product manufactured using the same machinery other than footwear. So what happened was, so we were looking for what are the other products that we can manufacture from machinery other than footwear, flip-flops and molded rubber soles. During that time, we received information that there's an Indian bicycle tire factory plant closed down due to strike, worker strike, and it is available for sale. So this factory had been installed less than 6 months, and the factory was available for sale. The owner was highly discouraged because of the strike that took place before even starting the factory. All the machines were imported from Japan, and it was brand new. And the party who supplied the machinery also known to us very well. So the party who supplied the machinery informed us, they have supplied all the machinery on such and such a date, and it's less than 1 year old, and it has not been used by the factory. So if you have one opportunity, you can get for a very good price. So we immediately bought the entire factory from India, and the price was offered also good because they offered almost the same price that we purchased since it was not used. And we set up the bicycle tire plant in Sri Lanka. But this factory had only manufacturing bicycle tires only, and no tubes. Tube plant was not there. So with the machinery, our bicycle tire plant was established, and that's without the bicycle tube plant. To make the bicycle tubes, we need an extruder. So we had an extruder, but that is for the manufacturing of foxing for canvas shoes. So we tried manufacturing some sizes of tubes which we were able to do, but not for a long time. So we invested in a good extruder, high capacity extruder, and started the tube plant also, because the tires cannot be sold without the tubes. The modern extruder we had, the extruder that we installed was a modern one from Japan, and it has very high capacity. And we used that extruder not only manufacture tubes, but we started manufacturing other extruded rubber products, including rubber water hoses and various other extruded components that can be manufactured. And some of those components are suitable for even for export market. The rubber molded products unit not only made rubber soles, but also used various other rubber articles such as carpets, mud flaps, car auto parts, leading to the diversification into molded and extruded and even injection molded rubber products. So the rubber plant started expanding vertically and horizontally, because there are a series of various rubber products that were available that can be manufactured with the basic machinery. Only what we need is the molds and dies, etc., and maybe some vulcanizers. So those parts were added, and we expanded the rubber factory to manufacture a range of products. When we expand the rubber factory, as you know, any rubber factory has rubber waste and mold flash, which has no way is a question of doing on the landfill only. So when the rubber factory expanded, the amount of rubber waste also increased heavily. So the Environmental Authority was not very happy dumping this rubber waste as landfill. So they said, if you don't do anything, we will have to cancel your license, because either you have to reuse or use for productive purposes. So that was another challenge that we have. We could not continue manufacturing, because unless we give a solution to what is happening to the rubber waste and rejections. So that's it. Also we converted into opportunity, and we had a fair volume of Scotch rubber compounds, mold flash, rubber waste out of microcellular sheets, because when you cut microcellular, again there's a microcellular waste also. So there's a sizable amount to set up a recycling plant. So we searched to start a recycling plant to match the amount of waste that we have been generated. The recycling plant, there was no recycling plant to match our requirement. Our requirement is too small. They said, you can't buy a reclaimed to that volume. You must have a higher volume of waste to set up a recycling plant, because recycling plant has again another very high machinery and vulcanizers. So since there's no alternative, we started setting up a recycling plant, even though the capacity is very high, and we look for other products that can be used for recycling. Then we found the collecting rubber waste from other factories also, other than the two factories. There were a lot of tire retreading factories. They also had waste rubber. We started collecting from those also, but again, the volume was negligible, and it was not at all enough to manage the recycling plant. So during this period, there's another issue came up. This dengue menace. There was a dengue menace that came up from the mosquitoes who are in the breeding grounds of used tires. Used tires have been the breeding ground for dengue. So there was a big ha-ho within the country saying that tires should not be dumped elsewhere because those are breeding grounds for dengue. So whoever who disposes tires must punch the tires so that there's no water retention. But in spite of all that, there is no way where to dispose these tires. So then we checked up, and our recycling plant supplier said, why not you get the used tires also? You need some additional few pieces of machinery, tire crushers and all that. You invest on that also, and then you can have a complete recycling plant. So we had no alternative. So we started investing on a sizable recycling plant which can use even used tires. By that time, the famous rubber technologist, Dr. Mendes, he has just retired from the testing institute, and he was available. So we immediately approached him, and he studied this proposal, and he suggested that this is a good opportunity. Why not you start the recycling plant, and in such a way, the process that you are going to use, so that you can make reclaimed rubber, not the rubber powder, but the reclaimed rubber. Earlier, we were using only the rubber powdery, but now this is not powdering, this is reclaiming. So the process, the reclamating process. So he gave the guidance, and the machinery was selected, and we set up the recycling plant to manufacture reclaimed rubber. So that process is a little bit a complicated process, but still for all, Dr. Mendes was instrumental in handling it, and he set up the plant, and it came up very well. So that challenge also converted opportunity, and that is how this rubber reclaiming plant that came up in Sri Lanka, and that was a pioneering project. Our company is the first company who set up this reclaiming plant, and all the used tires that were available in various places were collected, and we made a collecting arrangement of used tires, and all reclaimed tires were offered. And at that time, solid tire production also came up. Solid tire factories also set up, and they also needed reclaimed rubber to reduce the cost down. So that was a good opportunity. So there was no difficulty in marketing, because whatever we manufactured, there was a market for by the solid tire companies, as well as even the export market were prepared to buy the reclaimed rubber, because when the rubber prices went up, these reclaimed rubber has the market. So we started it, and all the reclaimed rubber that we manufactured, present capacity now is about, we do about 500 tons per month, and sizable quantities being used domestically by the solid tire manufacturers, and shoe factories are also using the sizable amount, and balance amount we have been exporting, because there's a big demand from Taiwan as well for reclaimed rubber. So that is how this reclaimed rubber plant came up, and that plant also started expanding heavily, and to such a level that we ran short of used tire also. And at one point we had to import used tire even from India. India used tire import was not allowed, so we had to cut and chop and bring in pieces. So then of course, rate, of course, we could not import because reclaiming plant also came up in India. So importing we used that from India also came down. So now we are using all the available waste rubber, recycled the used tires and other mold flash and all that to get the reclaiming rubber. In 1977, Sri Lanka opened the economy, allowing free import of all the products, because Sri Lanka is the first country in Asia to embrace the open economy. Even India didn't embrace the open economy, but we embraced in 1977. So the licensing era is finished. You can import whatever you need without any license. So therefore, earlier the raw materials were under license, machinery were under license, but with this open economy, we were allowed to import anything without any license, without any foreign exchange restrictions. So that was the era we called open economy era. So we made this the opportunity, and we want to expand the factory not only to manufacture rubber sheets and molded soles, we want to get into the EVA sheet manufacturing. So we immediately contacted our Taiwan suppliers and informed them that we are planning to manufacture EVA sheets, to manufacture flip-flops out of EVA, whether you could help us. So they gave the entire range of machinery that is required, and with the technical know-how, we set up the EVA plant. So then, with the EVA plant, we found that we need a laboratory to test the products, not only the rubber, but even EVA. We need to have a laboratory because R&D has to be done. Then all the rubber compounds must be tested, for which we did not have any facility. So therefore, we started setting up an ultra-modern laboratory. It was a dire need at that time for innovative products and also to do in-house testing. Earlier, we had higher rate of rejections, and especially compounds are getting squashed, and because of we didn't have a test method to check the compound, what you call the vulcanizing, to take these lab graphs on the vulcanization. So there's no way. So with the setting up the laboratory, we managed to reduce our wastage, because every rubber compound that we manufactured had to go through the lab and take the curing graph. So with the curing graph, we were able to reduce the wastage and develop rubber products with better curing characteristics. So with the laboratory installation, all this time we were doing mixing on open roll mills, 2-roll mills. So for better mixing and better dispersion, there was a dire need for installation of internal mixers. So therefore, at that time, the Banbury mixers was very expensive. So our Japanese people suggested, why do you want to go for a Banbury mixer? There's an intermediate product known as kneaders. Why don't you initially go for a kneader? So we invested in a 55-liter kneader to mix the rubber compounds. But later we found the mixing in kneader is good only for soft compounds, but for hard compounds, that is not a suitable solution. So we had to invest in a Banbury mixers. So we immediately installed 75-liter internal mixers, again imported from Taiwan, and they came and installed it. And we commissioned those internal mixers. And from those internal mixers, our production capacity increased, and we were able to manufacture better mixed products and take highly delicate products as well. So at that time, all the molded products, all the shoes that we manufacturing, flip-flops were manufacturing, we were selling without any difficulty, because only few manufacturers were there. Manufacturing is difficult, but marketing is also equally difficult now because of the open economy. So with the open economy, not only the machinery came up, even the finished products started importing, especially from China and Thailand, and even from Vietnam came up, and those products, some are of B grade and some are stock lot. So therefore, we had an issue of selling our products. because imported products were not of high quality, but still for all prices were very cheap. So we had to advertise the products as the quality certification started coming up. The quality certification branding came up. So therefore, we set up retail networks again, because we had to sell our product. Manufacturing is not difficult, but we had to sell. So with the open economy, it was not the manufacturer's market, it's the seller's market. So therefore, we must have a network of retail outlets to sell our products. So then we started investing on retail networks to sell our footwear and rubber products. So this retail network we set up right around the country, and selling footwear, as you all know, is a fashion item, and you must have a nice display arrangement and latest designs. Then only you can sell it, attract the customers. So which we had to invest on the retail networks, and we had to invest on networking and also advertising. So the DSI brand was established with that, and with the DSI brand, bicycle tires also started marketing under the DSI brand. So therefore, marketing bicycle tires was not so difficult, because the DSI brand was well known at that time. There were only one or two small manufacturers. There was only one manufacturer of bicycle tires in Sri Lanka. And we in our company, the bicycle tires, we had latest Japanese machinery. So we had other company had only one or two designs, whereas we had many designs, bicycle tire designs. So that without that, we were able to win the market with our bicycle tires with the DSI brand. Not only bicycle tires we made, we started manufacturing motorcycle tires as well, and then gradually we entered into the manufacturing of three-wheel tires also. The capacity in the rubber factory was not enough to do all this, so we set up another plant near Colombo to manufacture bicycle tires, motorcycle tires, and completely fully state-of-art rubber plant where we manufactured all full range of bicycle tires and motorcycle tires. As the tire size range is very wide, apart from manufacturing, we even imported certain sizes of tires to cover the full range. Because in a rubber factory, if you want to manufacture the entire range of bicycle tires, all of you all know, you need a mold. So when you invest in a mold, if you don't have the sufficient volume, it is not economical. So therefore, certain sizes of bicycle tires, which has a very limited market, we started importing because we have the retail network. Then during this open economic period, imports are flooding into the Sri Lanka, and leading brands like Adidas, Reebok also coming into the Sri Lankan market. So we thought that we should not allow those agencies to go to some other company, and DSI took those agencies as well. The Reebok, Clark, Fila, all those agencies were taken by DSI because we had the strength in that with the retail network that we had. So therefore, all the leading brands, they prefer to give the agency to a party who has the retail network. Whereas we are the only company, other than the multinational company, who had the full complete retail network extend to over 200 showrooms. So therefore, they selected us and they gave the agency to us. So that gave the opportunity for us not only to market DSI footwear, but even other brands of footwear as well through our retail network. So that from that, we also learned how other brands are being marketed, how the new trends are being generated. All that we get the information, and we adjusted our production lines to suit those conditions. So we are the leaders in the market of footwear now, and even later we became the leaders of bicycle tires as well, because the other party who was manufacturing bicycle tires offered their factory to us, and we purchased that factory as well. Therefore, we were the only manufacturer of bicycle tires at one time. So then, while manufacturing bicycle tires, we thought that we should not stop at that level. And we thought of what further diversification we can do. So we made the forward integration of not only manufacturing bicycle tires, but to manufacture bicycles. So therefore, we started setting up a assembly plant to manufacture bicycles, because bicycles are also being imported. So, and all the bicycle parts are manufactured in India and China. So we thought that we should be able to assemble here initially the assembly plant with our own bicycle tires to be fitted onto them. All the required parts, rims and all parts of bicycle spare parts are imported from India and Japan, and not Japan, like China. And we had this assembly plant. From the assembly plant, we were assembling bicycles. And the assembly line was it's a very modern assembly line with a good painting plant. And at one time, we managed to be the leading exporters of bicycle tires as well as bicycles, apart from footwear. In fact, we do export bicycles to India as well now. So therefore, because there the value addition part from Sri Lanka was very small, but still for all, we maintained the quality, and we made the on-time delivery and certification. Our factories meet all the compliance requirements, all the requirements they had. So therefore, we had the chance of exporting bicycles not only to India but even to Western countries. We tried many times to set up a footwear manufacturing plant in India. Initially an assembly line, but we were not successful as we could not find a good partner. So then we set up a distributing unit by setting up a company in Bangalore, but we were not successful as we are still trying to have our operations in India as well, and we are still looking for another partner. During the year 1999, that was the time that this computer era came up, and many private companies started computerization, some of the operations, and there was a fear of Y2K, where all the computer programs will fail moment you reach year 2000, because it has 3 zeros. That they call as Y2K. And many expected the system to crash, and even flights will be stopped, and even lifts will not work. But anyhow, nothing happened. So our company has already installed few computers and operated few programs, and we installed our ERP solution. This was a breakthrough, as we were able to reduce our inventories in showrooms to a great extent. We were the first to install this ERP solution in Sri Lanka in the footwear field, and made us to enjoy the larger market share, as we became we became the leading brand of Sri Lanka, overtaking all the other companies. So by year 2000, we are the market leaders, because with the technology we had, with the this ERP solution that we had, that brought up a lot of prompt information and reduced the labor cost and inventory cost. Therefore, we were able to expand the number of showrooms further with the same inventory levels. During years 2012 and 2016, government gave incentives for R&D by allowing double deduction on the R&D expenditure. R&D, as you all know, is a very costly exercise, and you don't get returns immediately. Therefore, most of the accountants, they don't encourage R&D, because they always offer return on investment, which is not possible to get within a period. It's a long-term investment. So, but government realized this one, and they allowed us to do the double deduction of R&D expenditure from the accessible income. So we made this opportunity, and we set up incubators with universities, and all our R&D works are done jointly. So the University of Moratuwa in Sri Lanka is the partner for us, and with the help of Moratuwa University and another Colombo University also, we had expanded our R&D work, and therefore we were able to do a lot of innovative products. This gave us a boost to develop new products, reduction of cost, sourcing raw materials, and even process improvements, and even automation. Because since we are linked to university, that was an great opportunity to us, and the expenditure through the tax, we are allowed to make a double deduction. That also is a big boost to us, because otherwise we will not have enough funds to invest on R&D. So even from New Zealand, there's one Dr. Karnika was there, who was in New Zealand, and she also gave a lot of technical assistance to develop many rubber products. There was a period that natural rubber prices were going up to higher levels, and therefore we thought that we will not be able to manufacture rubber footwear with rubber soles. So we thought that we should have another polymer which will not cost so much, and the only alternative that was the PVC. So we set up a PVC injection molding unit to manufacture PVC soles, and PVC price was very cheap, and due to low cost, and the production is very simple. You don't require a mixing plant. It's purely invest on a PVC injection. You get the raw material and you get the injection process. Very short cycle time. So we started manufacturing the flip-top V straps and rubber soles out of PVC. Normally, PVC product, unlike rubber, has very bright colors when compared to rubber product. Hence, PVC soles and straps became very popular, even though environmentally is not a friendly item, but still for all, that becomes very popular. So we invested in a PVC plant. Now we do have a rubber plant, EVA plant, and a rubber plant, and a PVC plant as well. Then Sri Lanka entered in solid tire market, and as you know, Sri Lanka is the largest supplier of solid tire in the global market. With the increase of consumption of natural rubber, we envisage a shortage of natural rubber in Sri Lanka. We were manufacturing natural rubber about 10 to 12,000 tons per month. And with that, the conversion took place. But with the drop in rubber prices, many rubber plantations are abundant. And the natural rubber production came down. So we convinced the government, with the increase, all the natural rubber is not enough to convert into value addition. Unless you don't have a plan to replant natural rubber, there are going to be a severe shortage of natural rubber to manufacture these products. The natural rubber, once you start planting, it takes 6 years for a rubber tree to generate, come to the tapping level. So long-term plan is required. So our company, together with the leading solid tire company, Lodestar, we started a rubber nursery, so that give very good rubber plants to rubber replanters, especially in a remote area like Monaragala. And with the assistance of IFAD, we managed to replant 5,000 hectares of rubber in Monaragala area. That's a remote area. And this project has generated results. And immediately after that, during that period, rubber prices came down again. So when the rubber prices came down again, people were not very happy in manufacturing, replanting rubber. So again, rubber replanting was suspended, but the plantation that we start continued generating results. So because of that, rubber production from 125,000, about 10,000 tons per month has now come down to 5,000 to 6,000 tons. So therefore, unfortunately, Sri Lanka is now importing rubber to most of the factories now. Sri Lanka was involved in the terrorist war situation for about 30 years. Therefore, we were at a risk because of the required raw materials we were imported except rubber. So if there is a terrorist attack in our port, all the rubber factories will have to close down, especially within our group. So now, presently, most of the rubber factories are importing rubber, and even the latex factory, Dow's factory is also importing latex, because natural rubber plantation and latex production in Sri Lanka is not enough. So that's a very serious drawback for the rubber industry as well. So Since this terrorist issue came up, we thought that since raw materials, most of the raw materials in the footwear industry as well as the PVC industry, EVA industry are imported. If there is any issue like that, all our group will be in trouble. So therefore, to mitigate the risk, we thought of diversification in our company to manufacture products that needed very little imported input. This resulted in setting up two non-rubber factories, one to make fire brushes and other to make clay roofing tiles. For both of these factories, the products, they do not need much imported input. So therefore, clay roofing tiles manufacturing, all what you need is the clay extracted from tanks, and that was available in abundance. And so we started manufacturing clay roofing tiles, and that we were the first party in Sri Lanka to manufacture clay roofing tiles in a modern way, and also exporting, because it's the raw materials, 100% raw material locally available. And fire brushes also we were exporting, and we expanded those factories, assuming that if there is any issue in restriction imports, that our company will survive. So you would notice that all these developments and diversification ideas came when there is always a challenge or a threat. So we converted all the threats and opportunities and expanded horizontally and vertically and established sound financial base in our group. There was a time the government ran short of power. We had the hydropower. There was a time that we had run short of power, and the government gave encouragement and incentives to power generation when crude oil prices skyrocketed, because we have power generation by hydro as well as fossil fuel. Also we have a generator. So we made use of this opportunity and set up 3 hydro power generating units, bringing additional revenue to the group, deviating from the normal rubber product industries. Apart from manufacturing operations, of course, since we have a group of company, we can't be doing only the manufacturing and making money, but we have to have some philanthropic activities as well. In 2002, we had this tsunami in the coastal areas and got devastated, and many died. So we, being a leader in down south, we helped all the victims and established businesses again with the assistance that we received from our suppliers and customers. All affected institutions were able to resume normal production operation within a short period, doing better than pre-tsunami period. Our philanthropic activities were extended even to hospitals, schools, offering scholarships to needy students, including children, to our own employees. In conclusion, I wish to mention that our group has now over 18 factories spread all over the island and employing over 10,000 direct employees. So therefore, we are contributing to the GDP of the country by way of export, earning foreign exchange, and also providing employment, and also catering to the domestic market. And we are market leaders, not only in footwear, in tires, and as well as clay roofing tiles. So our expansion program is not finished. We're still considering further expansion programs. Even now with the present COVID pandemic, we are now trying to find other opportunities where will be available with the post-COVID pandemic. I need to give a word of advice to young graduates and prospective entrepreneurs. Normally, to qualify as a graduate, you spend 3 to 4 years in the university. After being a graduate, the knowledge that you acquired will last less than 4 years, as technology is advancing so fast, and you will be outdated if you don't improve your knowledge by interaction with technology and technology advances. So please note, every dark cloud has a silver lining. You will look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Wow, wow, very inspiring, great journey. I see that the evolution of DSI, particularly when crisis challenges that you really made into opportunities. And thank you very much for, the sharing this wonderful journey of DSI Samson and you. Thank you very much. I show you one picture on the light note for you. Okay, just tell us how old you were on the left picture. Okay, and what you guys were at the time.
The left picture I have taken when I was about, say, 1980. 1980, so about 35 years.
30 years ago.
40 years, about 35, 40 years.
It's nice. And this is a honorary doctorate degree. That's, I guess, this one, right, on the right picture.
Yes, yes, that is in 2019.
Okay. Congratulations, sir. Fantastic.
It's an honorary doctorate that I got from the University of Jawaharlal.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you. And it's really wonderful. I'm not one word we want to miss on your speech. Thank you very much. For the audience purpose, I wanted to show the video of the DSI Samson Group. It will take around 10 minutes. I think that's a 10-minute video. Okay. Sir, can you please turn off your webcam for a few minutes? Okay. And then I'll start the video. Yeah. That's a great, great story, great journey of the DSI Samson Group. Thank you for Dr. Kulathunga sir for sharing this, program to all of us. As part of this program, I have also guests, basically his colleagues and also the industry friends of Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. I invite them to speak about their association with Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. May I invite our first guest, Mr. Ananda Kaldera. He is an executive director at the Global Rubber Industries. Mr. Ananda sir, can you please open your webcam and speaker as well? Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Param Prasad. Thank you for giving this opportunity to talk about eminent personality in Sri Lanka, namely Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. I think my association with Kulathunga Rajapaksa goes back to 1975-76 time, the time that I joined Elasto Limited, one of the leading footwear manufacturers in Sri Lanka. So from there, we worked together. We worked in number of associations, institutions, and of course, we exchanged always our ideas, and we got certain advisors at the time that we needed his advice. In fact, I must tell you, one of the leading associations in Sri Lanka Association of Manufacturers and Exporters of Rubber Products, we call it SLAMUP. He was one of the pioneers to establish this in Sri Lanka. Today is over 28 years old, which has done an eminent service to the export industry of Sri Lanka. And I'm very happy to say, which is now standing at $1 billion. For a small country like Sri Lanka, exporting $1 billion of rubber products is not easy and is not simple. So that was the beginning that it took, I think, as far back, I must say, is 1980 or something like that, with Mr. Tanki Vikramaratne. And I was fortunate to be a member of that at the time of forming this SLAMUP to develop the rubber industry of Sri Lanka, mainly for exports. Of course, coming back to Mr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa's, what I heard just now, I heard a lot about which I didn't know today, such a how he developed starting a small factory to manufacture footwear because of the need, because the government restricted the imports of footwear. So he used that challenge as an opportunity to convert that into an industry and practically improving that to become Sri Lanka's #1 footwear manufacturer. In fact, I was also working since 1975 in one of the footwear manufacturers, namely Elasto Limited. And I must tell you that although we were competitors, we were never had any problems. We were collaborators. Mr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa collaborated with our managing director, our technical director, Mr. Donald Gunasekara. I have to mention his name. He's one of the pioneers of footwear industry in Sri Lanka, where I started his factory in 1950, and exchange ideas, views more than anything else. The tremendous support that Mr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa gave to Mr. Donald Gunasekara, I don't think there is anybody else who would do such a humanly support, not only industry-wise, but also on a personal basis. I must tell something very important now. Mr. Rajapaksa looked after him till he died. He will understand what I mean from that. In fact, I got to know that is died only through him, or not in the sense not to actually is related to me. So before I got to know from the family, I got to know through him. So you can see what a close relationship Mr. Rajapaksa, actually I'm sorry to say Mr. Rajapaksa, Dr. Rajapaksa had been maintaining with the competitors. I don't think there is anywhere in the world such an association, cluster, collaboration and relationship in the world. So these are the qualities that we should really take up to the next generation. These are the qualities that we should try to develop with our industrialists, because we are one country. We are all not competing with each other. We as a country must develop and prosper. So that was his one and only idea, one and only purpose. Of course, then the other association that I had with him, the next one was when I was the president of the Plastics and Rubber Institute, where he supported us to do our headquarters building financially and in many ways advising us how to do it in the best possible way. So thanks to Mr. Rajapaksa for supporting the Plastics and Rubber Institute, and in fact, and funding to organize a very good library under DSI name. So that is with an idea of educating our industry technologists for the development of the rubber industry. I will show you what Mr. Rajapaksa has done, not to the DSI company, mainly to the entire industry. We all heard what he had done to the industry, so that's all well done. Everybody knows. But of course, this type of leaders, how they have really helped the Sri Lankan industry in a big way. So for the Plastics and Rubber Institute, he has been supporting in every possible way, donating money, sponsoring program, participating in events, delivering keynote addresses, and helping and guiding the entire rubber industry personnel. So I mentioned to you at the beginning, he was one of the pioneers who started the SLAMUP, that is the Exporters Association of Sri Lanka, rubber products. He also is one of the key people who has supported to form the Plastics Rubber Institute, and then to drive it through the last, I must say, more than 60 years. Then another important thing, of course, as a rubber industry, we identified 4 pillars, 4 main stakeholders. Who are they? Rubber planters, rubber traders, then rubber manufacturers, rubber product manufacturers, and exporters. So we identified 4 associations, namely Planters Association, Colombo Rubber Traders Association, the Plastics and Rubber Institute of Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka Rubber Products Sri Lanka Association of Manufacturers and Exporters of Rubber Products. So sometime back, with the sponsorship of US government, these 4 associations were put together and formed one apex body to identify entire rubber industry and support the rubber industry and to develop the rubber industry. There again, Mr. Rajapaksa played a very dynamic and a key role. And I'm happy to say I was the first secretary of that. For the formation, and Mr. Rajapaksa's support, if we didn't have it at that time, I would say that we wouldn't have been able to form this association. Today, this association is named as Sri Lanka Society of Rubber, which is an apex body of the rubber industry, which is working very closely with the government. And one of the main tasks that Sri Lanka Society of Rubber did was prepare a 10-year master plan for the rubber industry, which is actually now accepted by the government and being implemented. There again, Mr. Rajapaksa, as a part of this, in order to promote the natural rubber plantation, he took a very, very brave and novel step. What is that? We found that our natural rubber production was going down, that we need to improve it. So this association, we identified
another big area, a very large area in Monaragala to start rubber cultivation, which was a non-traditional area. So with the government, we had several discussions, and end of the discussion, the government agreed to develop this area, this Monaragala area, for new plantation, and we were able to get a lot of support from international organizations. And today I'm very happy to say we have planted more than 66,000 hectares. And one of the main problems that we had there, the smallholder development, was they didn't have sufficient planting material. So Mr. Rajapaksa very quickly got activated with the support of few other industry leaders. We formed a company called Wellas Rubber Company, and I was also fortunate to become a member of that as a director. And he led this Wellas Rubber Company. Government gave us 50 hectares of land free of charge, and we started doing rubber seedling planting material, preparing the planting material, and supplying to the smallholders at a subsidized rate. So this practically encouraged all the smallholders, and that, I must say, is a part of the success of the Monaragala project. Today, most of the big companies are enjoying the yield of the Monaragala plantation, which is now started tapping, and a very high quality rubber. But how this was done, everybody should know. This is because of small projects of big value. If we did not produce this planting material at that time, smallholders wouldn't have been able to do this plantation. And I must say that Mr. Rajapaksa and the other few companies, they ran at a loss. They never earned any money. They considered this as a CSR activity. And I think till about 2 years back, we were able to supply this planting material to the smallholders. So these are great events, great things that we can talk any day at any time. In fact, I have associated Dr. Rajapaksa very closely. And of course, I have traveled with him to many countries, of course, through associations and many ways. I must say that we have gone and visited a lot of exhibitions, met various delegations in Malaysia, in India, on behalf of developing the Sri Lanka rubber industry. We have visited together to study how these Malaysian people have developed industry. We have visited India, many companies, many factories, many organizations to understand how they have developed the rubber industry. So I can remember the leading role that he played at that time. It's really friendly relationship that I had with Mr. Rajapaksa, which was a very memorable association. Then, of course, I must say how he has helped the rubber industry in several other ways. I just mentioned you how he has formed the various types of association to develop the industry. Then, of course, various types of visits and seminars and various things which he has participated. One more important thing, that is, he never considered competitors as competitors. And I will take one example. About 15-20 years ago, he wanted to develop the innovation and development of the rubber industry. And he had a chat with me, how do we promote this to the entire industry? So as you know, we have the plastics and rubber of Sri Lanka. We decided that we will select annually the best innovating award, the best innovator who has done the best innovation. So we set some criteria. We appointed a board to a panel of judges, and then we introduced this innovation award. Was totally sponsored by Mr. Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. Because you must see, this is about, I must say, well over 20 years ago. Even at that time, he has the knack of developing the industry. This is not to develop DSI. This is to develop the entire industry. So he sponsored this innovation award, and the first innovation award was awarded to one of his friends, that is Mr. Donald Kulathunga. I would say he is the #1 innovator who was in Sri Lanka. I don't think there is anybody up to now who have come up on the innovation side. The amount of patented projects he has done, amount of new industries he has done, amount of new machinery he has designed, I don't think there is anybody else. I'm mentioning these things to the memory of Mr. Rajapaksa. I'm sure that he'll be very happy when I say about these things. So he has improved, he has encouraged the R&D work, innovation work of the industry. Not the, now we just explained how DSI did, but he never limited those action and activities to his industry. Then of course, he mentioned about having 18 factories now, started with 1 factory. And I want to give you a few examples how we treated his competitors. Now, one example is, as I told you, Elasto was a competitor of DSI. But you can see how we treated them, how we treated even personally the owners of those companies. You know, some time back, and there was one company who wanted to do 3-wheeler tires. So I went with that person to meet Mr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. I don't know whether he can remember. So I went there and spoke to Mr. Rajapaksa and then explained to him, these people are trying to import tires from abroad. If we can support them to make their brand in Sri Lanka, we can stop importation of this thing. So he considered this as a national event. What do you mean by national event? If these people start or continue to import tires, our foreign exchange will go out. So in order to save the foreign exchange, he agreed to manufacture these competitor brand tires and supply him, which he will also come back in the same market and compete. See the confidence that he had on his product and see the thinking that he had about Sri Lankan rubber industry and Sri Lankan economy. I don't think there is anybody else would do that. Of course, when I go there, when I go to meet him and request something, I know sometimes he feel little difficult to refuse. That's a different story. But still, he had every right to refuse. But he didn't do that. He agreed to supply, and I'm sure up to date, even today, they are supplying. So end of the day, what happens? There's another brand. That particular company has some strength in marketing. And instead of importing tires from outside country, we have substituted that. And in a time like today, imagine in a dollar crisis, how these things have affected. So these are a few examples because I can talk few hours about him. So when I talk about the entire rubber industry in all aspects, treating competitors, development of people, polymer education, plantation industry, and also many times whenever we had problems with the government, he come forward. He even contact the top man in the country, can be the Prime Minister or the President, through his personal contacts or his recognition what he had, and he will always explain to them what is the correct thing to do. So as a result, today the rubber industry in Sri Lanka, I must say, is recognized as a thrust industry. It's one of the most highly developing industry, high value-added industry, and today reading $1 billion income to the Sri Lanka. This is in addition to what is sold in Sri Lanka. So actually we are marching towards $2 billion in 3 years' time. That's our target. All the industries are moving up. I can very loudly say Mr. Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa has immensely contributed to this particular task of developing rubber industry over the last 5 decades. And rubber industry in Sri Lanka is a well-established industry, I must say, which has a potential of not earning $1 billion, but earning $10 billion. I can see with these 18 companies now becoming 36 companies in the next 10 years, what amount of service we can do to the Sri Lanka rubber industry. So I think I will tell you some more stories about this personal relationship, how we behave, how we look into the people. And whenever we go and visit exhibitions and all that, he's a very simple person who respects equality. He always treat everybody equal. I think that is, as per Lord Buddha, one of the, I must say, Sasara Sangra Vastu. Out of the Satara Sangra Vastu, one is the Dhanaya Priyavachanya Samanasmatave. So he's a person who has practiced this equality in a big way. And he's a very simple person. I can remember one story when we were in China. Actually, that particular day became his birthday. So somebody in his company, I will not mention the name even now. So he told me that yeah, Mr. Rajapaksa's birthday. So early morning, we were in a hotel. So I spoke to him and I wished him happy birthday. He didn't know how I got to know, but whatever it is, in few hours time, I got a cake for his birthday. So that's the type of humanity that he was maintaining. I don't know whether he could remember. So we had enough of fun in association. We have enough of, I must say, collaboratively thinking. We have enough of ideas which we develop together, which help the industry to develop. And I don't know how I could conclude what he has done, because he's still working in the industry. And I know that he will continue to support all our associations, to support the rubber to support the development of the rubber industry in Sri Lanka in a big way. And of course, even now today is highly engaged with Sri Lanka Society of Rubber. He is now working on the implementation of the rubber industry master plan. I know that sometime he talked to me also on that matter and asked me my views and all that. So we are very happy to work with you. We are practically at a very good association. So in summary, I would say I would appreciate the industrial growth that DSI has got during the past years, one company becoming 18 companies. Then of course the support that he has given to the Sri Lanka rubber industry, supported the NR plantation, and he will continue to do that. Encourage the innovation and development of the rubber industry, not only the DSI company. Collaborated with the competitors and developed the competitors, thinking that we are one industry. And simple personality who respected for local products and always maintained and respected the equality. So I wish him good health and long life, Dr. Kulathunga. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
you.
Mr. Kaldera.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very much, for giving more inspiring information about Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. Sir, you have any words to Mr. Ananda?
Yes, I must thank Ananda. Ananda has been a close friend and very simple person. He has supported me heavily, especially in the Society of Rubber and also at SLAMAP to get this finite element unit, and also in setting up the nursery. All that, he was one of the key supporters, because without his support, we couldn't have achieved to that level. But he's a more practical person in handling whatever the issues. He always talked to the point, and he shared with the vision, and his knowledge on the rubber industry is extremely useful to us. I can remember when I went with him in Malaysia, he mentioned to the Malaysian authorities, the PRI is older than what the PRI did in Malaysia, because we are the oldest plastic and rubber institute in Sri Lanka. We established before Malaysia. So we told them that, our technology and our level of acceptability in the rubber field is much more when we, in every aspect. And when I went to India also, I can remember during the meetings, we always had a cordial relationship, and we explained ourselves benefit to the country. So I think so. I must thank Mr. Caldera for all what he has mentioned, and let us work together. He is still working, and we can work together to increase our foreign exchange to rubber industry. He is mentioning that we are getting 2 billion, but there's some more scope. Unfortunately, we don't have natural rubber, but even with import of natural rubber and synthetic rubber, we may be able to reach that target because we have now already a lot of work. The company is working, it's expanding vertically and horizontally. We quite see it, and we are very happy of it because all the credit will go to Sri Lanka, not only one company. Thank you very much, Mr. Caldera.
Thank you, Dr. Rajapaksa. Thank you very much. Let's keep it on.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me invite our next guest, Mr. Cyril. W.A. Cyril is a director at the DSI UOM. It's a UOM is a University of Moratuva Product and Process Development Incubator. Mr. Cyril, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Peram. Good evening, everybody. Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I must thank for this opportunity to be the testimonial for Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. Having worked at DSI and Samson Group for last 42 years, and was working with all the 3 generations, starting from the founder chairman, Mr. Samson Rajapaksa. I think I am one of the few to know the actual work and commitment done by Dr. Kulathunga. Well, if you can remember, in around late 90s, the household name used to describe the footwear, especially when you buy rubber slippers. People ask for their company name, only the company name. That is how big was the presence of our competing company, which is a multinational company with tremendous resources. But the attitude and business revolution started by Dr. Kulathunga has enabled DSI to overperform on the aspects of quality and comfort of the footwear and overtake our competing company to become the #1 footwear company in Sri Lanka. Since then, DSI has not taken a backseat, and as per the vision of Dr. Kulathunga, we are now a multi-sectorial, diversified company serving customers all around the globe, as Dr. mentioned. And this revolution started within the company. The employees were not working for a boss or a manager. They were working for their second family. They sincerely wanted the company to develop, because with its development, their households have also developed. Their children and entire community developed. That is what the Dr. Kulathunga envisioned for the company to be. All were treated equally and fairly, and he established the concept of open office and flat hierarchy, where even janitor can walk to MD's office and provided feedback for improvements. He has taken this beyond the company and was one of the main contributors towards the rubber and polymer industry. He became a catalyst to develop and get the industry recognized on a national level. His valuable input leadership provided at national level, organizations and establishments have strengthened the industry to move forward in a positive attitude. This has led to creating a sustainable ecosystem for the rubber and polymer industry. For example, his contribution to Slam Up, as Anand explained, has introduced policies which have enabled a healthy competition with international brands and encouraged the Sri Lankan products to develop their end products to compete in the international markets. And his vision towards the PRISA, that is to produce quality professionals to the industry, has benefited not only to the companies which are looking for capable resources, but has paved ways for school leavers to get into professional career. That was his opinion. Dr. Kulathunga was and always has been more than a boss. He's a mentor and a role model for all of us. Today, the place that DSI and Samson Group represents in Sri Lanka's economy is not a small feat. And I can say it is all due to Dr. Kulathunga. I believe and I know that he will continue to provide his service for this country as well as to the industry. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cyril.
So any words to Cyril, sir? Dr. Kulathunga?
Yeah, Mr. Cyril has worked very closely. He has worked very closely with me.
Give me a second.
Cyril has worked with me.
Okay, please go ahead.
Cyril has worked with me for quite a long time, and especially in the development of the rubber industry and development of the many products. I think he has worked very closely with me, even though I am not a rubber technologist as such. I think I have given a lot of inputs to reduce the cost and improve the recipes as well, and productivity, because it is the R&D part is especially he is responsible for the R&D. I was very keen on R&D because R&D was not a subject taken by most of the industries, but I persuaded the government about the investment on R&D, because moment an R&D proposal comes in, as I mentioned before, it will be shot down by the accountant saying that ROI is very weak. But everybody knows that ROI is, in the case of R&D, you will not get the results immediately. It's a long-term investment. So now, since the government has allowed double deduction, we were able to link with universities, because university also wanted interaction with private sector. That link I have arranged. So I think Mr. Cyril has been instrumental in continuing that link. So therefore, unlike other industries, rubber industry is something that innovation is a must. Without innovation, we can't proceed. We can't be making the same old product over and over again. The cost must come down, the technology must come down, and also the productivity must increase, and criticalness. Not a rubber compound, now they have various specifications which need extremely very high R&D and high testing units. So therefore, they have been working with me in achieving those targets, especially in the case of export orders. So thank you very much, Mr. Cyril, for the comment, for the words that you established. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Cyril. Now I invite our next guest is Mr. N.A. Nandasena. He is a General Manager R&D at the Samson Rubber Industries. Mr. Nandasena, please open your webcam too. Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Peram, TechnoBiz, for organizing this kind of a program for the benefit of the younger generation. It is a great pleasure for me to participate in this conversation with Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa, Emeritus Group Managing Director of DSI Samson Group, Sri Lanka. I joined DSI Samson Group in 1985. Since then, I have known to Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa, who led the group as the Group Managing Director and then as the Chairman. As said, DSI is having 60 years of history and currently managed by the third generation, but still it keeps the family values and the cultural values thanks to the leadership of Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. As I see, Dr. Kulathunga is one of the great personalities in the group that appreciate employees at their achievements, which boost their career development. Myself, after joining DSI Group Tire Factory as a trainee in 1985, my first assignment was to increase the lifespan of the curing bags. I did the project very well, and I was able to increase the number of turns from 75 to 360 with using natural rubber. And those days we didn't have butyl rubber. And the day Dr. Kulathunga visited our plant, he appreciated me a lot. Those words were very, very encouraging to me. And I believe those words helped me a lot for my career development. Sir, still I can remember that when I resumed my merit from Plastic and Rubber Institute, you were the first person to appreciate me coming to this stage. And on the following day, you sent me flowers and greeting card through a courier service. Also, when I got my master's degree, you were the first person to send greeting. Thank you very much, sir. And I see a very uniqueness in Dr. Kulathunga that he helps small entrepreneurs as well, and he likes to see them also to grow up. It is very rare. It may be that, as he mentioned, it's expensive with the Japanese company. A simple example is, if an old machine is to be disposed, his norm is to repair it and dispose so that someone else can make use of it. Another uniqueness I see him in, that when he makes a business decision, he always prioritizes national interest rather than making a simple profit. Therefore, many Sri Lankan people love him. Sir, as you mentioned in your speech, you are resistant for NR imports during natural rubber prices are very high. You always supported the natural rubber production, and under your advice, we had many programs with smallholders to develop their production and improve the quality. And also, as Mr. Caldera mentioned, you made an immense contribution for the development of well-as rubber in the government project. And there are many things in my list, but first two gentlemen covered up everything. So I will conclude this thing. And sir, I wish you good health and happiness through your life with the blessing of Triple J.
Thank you, Mr. Nandasena. Sir, Dr. Kulathunga.
I think thank you very much, Mr. Nandasena, for your nice words. And the contribution Mr. Nandasena also has done immensely for the development of the tire industry, especially the bicycle tire industry. Because Mr. Nandasena is very simple, but still his knowledge is, he has a very good knowledge in development of the rubber industry and rubber products. And that is one of the reasons, but he has won many awards in development, and at the same time, he has been highly recognized in the department as a person who has excellent knowledge in developing our compounds. So therefore, always, even person MD Kulathunga Rajapaksa also appreciate him whenever whenever there's a problem, he always solve it. So in Sri Lanka, bicycle tire industry, they became the market leader, not because of anything else, it's purely because of the productivity that they have reached with the input given by Mr. Andase. Because in the tire industry is a volume industry. You had a very marginal profit, but it's purely on the volume that you have to get it. If you want to get in the volume, your productivity must be increased, your cycle time has been reduced, and your reject rate has to be reduced. All those were part and parcel what Mr. Nandasena has contributed. So I think he's a very good asset to the tire plant, and of course, you know, he has now developed his department as a team to have good team to succeed him. But his knowledge he has shared very well with your juniors. So therefore, I wish Nandasena a very happy life, and to contribute to the rubber industry much more than what he's contributing now, because the knowledge he has, I don't think anybody in the tire field has his knowledge, the level that he has. So, Mr. Nandasena, thank you very much for your nice words. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Nandasena. We have a special guest for you, sir, which not informed properly to you. And our next guest is Mr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. He is a managing director and also son of Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. Please come forward, sir, Mr. Kulathunga. Thank you. Please tell about your father. We all learned a lot, and so I want to know, as a son, what's your point of view? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Param. I think on short notice, I'm joining. I just returned from another meeting, and yes, I was listening to Mr. Cyril on my way and Mr. Nandasena. Yes, I think both of them, both the speakers spoke about their experience with my father, and yes, this is my 21st year in the company, and if you look back since childhood, I've been in and out of the factory thanks to my father and grandfather. So I'm so privileged to be moving to the factory complex at the age of probably 4 years. First with my grandfather, and then with my father. We got a good training, I must say. At the age of 12, I think we were supposed to work in the factory during August holidays, and we were supposed to work in the showrooms during December. So that training really helped us. I think that was kind of a foundation for us to understand the business at a very young age. And I would, looking back at what he has done and the foundation he had planned from at that age, I would say was fantastic. And I just saw Mr. Cyril speaking and Mr. Nandasena. I was privileged to work under them as well, and I'm so glad that they are part of this discussion today. What I want to say is the family, even though we were representing the family, we have been given the same training, same way of working, and there were no shortcuts to the top level. It took almost 14 years for me to hit the company, and we were given responsibilities as a normal, the same set of experience that a normal employee in the company would have gone through. looking back at his career, I would say he retired with 52 years of experience in the family company. Yet, though he is retired, I think he contributes so much, and he will never retire. And that's the level of commitment that he has made for the new generation. As Mr. Nandasena explained earlier, the group has been now handed over to the third generation. So he, along with his brothers, have built an empire. I would say we are celebrating 60 years next year. We are 59 years. And the beauty of our growth is we have come this far with the family, as a united family, and with our workforce. If you look at certain members like Mr. Cyril, I knew him from my childhood. So I used to call him Sri Lanka. So that's the level of the fraternity or the tribe that we maintain at DSI. And I think after my grandfather, after his death, it was my father, Mr. Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa, who took the reins and made sure that he drove the company. He drove the group. When my grandfather passed away, it was only 2 companies. Today we have 25 subsidiaries doing extremely well. So that level of growth was mainly because of the commitment that he made along with his brothers. And if you look at our success, the main secret is family unity, and he's the key member for keeping that family unity throughout our 59 years. So I think I will not speak much, but what I want to say is today DSI is one of the main conglomerates in the country, and we have come a long way, but we are a very silent conglomerate. That's part of our family culture. That is part of our corporate culture. But we have done so much to the economy, so much. And today we are 10,000 plus workforce company, and we are doing extremely well in all our subsidiaries. We are the largest shoe manufacturer in Sri Lanka. We are the largest bicycle tires and tubes in the country. We are the largest exporter when it comes to bicycle tires and tubes, even bikes. That level of growth was made possible by he leading the way along with his brothers. So with that, I want to wish him and the level of commitment he had done to the Sri Lankan rubber industry. I heard him saying he's not a rubber chemist, but if you speak to our staff, sometimes our serious level managers and executives who have qualified in this area are not able to challenge his arguments. So that level of commitment. So with that, I want to wish him and thank you so much for organizing this webinar today.
Thank you, Mr. Kasun. Wow, it's actually, you made the day. I know it's the last minute. Thank you. Dr. Kulathunga, any words, your own son?
Yes, we have. I have handed over the reins, so I have taken the back seat. So let them do it now. So I have done the foundation. I have developed it. So I am confident that they can. And there is the third generation we have handed over in 2012. So now it's time that they should carry on because all the basic matters have been done. Company have been established. The question of taking it to the next level. So that is up to them. And the challenge given to them is that take the company from local to global, which they are doing now, and they will have to do it because Sri Lanka, unlike India, is a small country with 22 million population. No country, no industry can exist without exporting. So that challenge they have taken over, and I'm confident that they will do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice. I'm truly it's very complete. Actually, this whole event today. Thank you very much, Mr. Cousin, to make it today. Please stay on. We have actually, you mentioned about Karnika. She has sent a message. I want to show to you. She sent a message. You know, it's midnight for her. She's able to send a message to you. And I'm posting the message on this stream. Okay. So she, you mentioned about her, and yes. So thank you very much. May I invite all the panelists to come on board, share, open your webcams. I will invite Dr. Samar Bandyopadhyay, who is a part of our team, to put in this program, and I want him to say thank you words to all the panelists. Mr. Nandasena, please, you too. Yes, super.
Yeah, first of all, I must say namaskar to all of you. It has been a great learning for all of us. Really, sir, Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa, sir, you have given a great lesson to all of us. How to enrich the country, how to protect the country economy. We learned a lot. And this is also, as a neighboring country from India, I want to say you that you reigned the world. As a Sri Lanka as a country, you have reigned the world. And I wish you all the best wishes from my heart. Dr. Anand Kandera, sir, I know you. I know you since I have met you in Sri Lanka. And also I have met you in India as well.
Yes,
Cyril,
yes,
sir,
yes.
I have not met you, but I came to know about you regarding the discussion with all of them. Nandasena, sir, I met you in Sri Lanka as a supplier. As a supplier, I went to your factory, and again in Peram's program, Thailand, we met you. So
Yes.
I wish to thank all of you. And Kasun, I am really thrilled to meet you. I must congratulate you that you will be definitely taking over the DSI group to a new status. I see the confidence in your face. So
Thank
I
you.
must thank all of you, and my sincere regards to all of you to make this program a great success. And Peram, the background person, who why I came forward, because the level of understanding he's having and the respect he is having towards the people, that's why I am beside him. And I am always trying to help him to organize these events. Thank you to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all panelists. Thank you very much. Okay, we will have one more session, which is a Q&A session for the with Dr. Kulathunga Rajapaksa. We have few questions for him. In the meantime, all other panelists, you can turn off your webcams. Let's focus. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Sir, we have a few questions for you. Are you comfortable to answer a couple of questions? Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yes. I post this question onto the screen, and you address them appropriately. Thank you.
Well, regarding the government policies to sustainable development of Sri Lanka rubber industry, as I mentioned in my speech, it is very, very important to have long-term plans, especially increasing the natural rubber production, which is not happening now. So we have been telling many times that there should be a long-term plan to increase the plantation, the number of replanting of rubber, and also the existing rubber plantation to increase the productivity. That is not happening. So we have been mentioning, informing the government to increase the natural rubber productivity by having the higher yield from plantation, rubber estates, from the rubber plants, rubber trees, because there are various ways and means of increasing the rubber latex productivity, which is not happening because our per tree output is very much less than when we compare to the norms of Vietnam and other countries. So we have been informing that we must increase the productivity and also have the increase the total rubber production by having few more areas planting new rubber. So because importing rubber and manufacturing is not going to be economical to Sri Lanka, because we have to import rubber and the rubber that we are getting is international prices and the freight charges will increase. So therefore, we must have our own natural rubber production increase. That is a must, and that is we have been pressing the government to do it. And since it takes 6 years gestation period for a rubber plant to generate production, the interest by most of the government is not there. But we have developed a rubber master plan. This has been forwarded to the government, and through the rubber master plan, if we implemented, we will reach the level of sustainable development of rubber industry. Thank you.
We have one more question for you.
Yes. Now, rubber industry was established in Silicon Valley and Europe earlier, and it has, because of the nature of the industry, now those industries are no more in Europe. So those industries are being shifted or replanted or relocated in Asia. So that's how we have this rubber industry in Asian countries now. But the question here is, in Europe, they have developed the rubber industry to such an extent, when we manufacture a product, our specifications do not match their requirements. And also, we do not have the testing facilities to meet those requirements. So therefore, rubber industries need more accredited laboratories and more input on R&D to meet the standards that Europe and USA required. So which to a certain extent we have met, but that is not enough. To my own experience, there are certain tests that is required by the Europe has to be done from the buying party only, because they are only they have the facilities to do some delicate testing, these testings. But in Sri Lanka, we do not have it. So therefore, the development of rubber industry in Asia it involves a lot of investment and a lot of what do you call this R&D to meet the standards required by Europe, because Europe are very particular, especially with the new technology. They need very precision rubber products now. To make precision product, not only the machinery, even the raw materials must be precision. The process must be also done very well. So automation is required. All that is required. So that is expensive. So therefore, one fine day we will do it, but it will take some long time. But we must have a accelerated program to meet these challenges, especially the laboratories and technical inputs. Thank you.
One final question, sir.
Well, any group will not always do the analysis of risk analysis. So they will not have all the eggs in one basket always. So therefore, our company is now looking for, with the COVID pandemic, there are a lot of opportunities that are coming up, and therefore now it's a time that our company should look into the agriculture sector, because that is another area with the COVID pandemic that's going to be generating results. So we must have food security in Sri Lanka. Therefore, our company is seriously now looking into the investing in agriculture area, not only to the domestic production, but even to do the exports, because food security and food scarcity are predicted by most of the companies with the climate change that is going to take place. So therefore, government is also helping to agriculture industry to develop industry and also do it with organic. The organic culture is now fast developing. Therefore, our company also seriously considering now to enter into organic agriculture products, so that that will have fetch a higher premium, and also many people are now moving towards green culture, and with the climate change we may have to face a lot of challenges now, so that we have to meet. So therefore food security is a must, and that's why our company now seriously considering how to enter into the agriculture area, when manufacturing, engaged in manufacturing agriculture products. In that area, there are so many things to be done in the processing part of it, value addition part of it, post-harvesting area. There's a lot of things to be done. So I think that is the area that our company is seriously considering now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We come to the end of this program, and you know, actually, I feel that what a wonderful journey, and so much to learn today. You know, even I wish that I have more time for, you know, longer, make it longer, tell more story. I give you more time for Mr. Ananda. He is telling about your, you know, things that you contributed, and all the stories from the message from your colleagues. Oh, it's a very, you know, learning for younger generation like us. I'm hoping that you know, you continue. I wish you the continued journey, inspire more people, more young people, more entrepreneurs for the benefit of the country as well as the rubber fraternity. Before I end this program, I request you to you know, give final remarks to the audience, please. Thank you.
Well, we want more entrepreneurs walking into the rubber industry, because that is the industry that can generate, absorb, learn graduates, and technology is advancing very fast in the industrial area. The robotics are coming in, then the digital transformation is taking place, automation is taking place, and there are so much of development that is taking place in the rubber industry. The tire industry facing a serious challenges of having no flat tires and no inflated tires, and that's developing. Already they have developed tires which doesn't require yeah. So therefore, my wish is that more people should work together to develop this industry, and more youngsters and graduates should move into this area rather than looking other area, because this is a very interesting area where all types of personnel in all areas can, there's opportunity. Accountants, technologists, management, marketing, everybody has opportunities in the field of rubber. So I think they must seriously consider to not only the rubber industry, any industry is okay, but industries, from the industry point of view, we need to have manufacturing. Right now, China has been the factory for the whole world, but the landscape is now changing. So the things are shifting down to Asia, and so we must try to take this challenge, because China is moving into the next high-tech area. So that's the advice, that word of advice that I give to the new entrepreneurs who are coming into this field. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sincerely thanks to you for joining this session today. Thank you very much. It's a great learning for whole session. I also convey sincere thanks to all the panelists, you know, for joining this program with Dr. Rajapaksa. Very much learning from you and from both. It's every word is important. Every word is you know, good learning for the audience as well as young professionals in the rubber industry. With that note, I thank you once again to all the participants and all the panelists, and also especially Dr. Rajapaksa. Thank you. And so we end this program now. Before I end it, I will show you quickly what else is in the plan for the next. Okay, there will be more. Every story is different. Every story is unique. Every story is a learning. Every journey is a learning. So our upcoming schedules about the Eminent Personality Webinars, we have a long list, you know, planned in 2022. Dr. Robin Datta, Mr. Sudhir Gautam, Dr. Pranab Kumar, Professor Golok Nandu, Mr. Shil Chandra Jain, and Dr. Ramapati Panda, and Mr. N. Rajagopalan, and also Mr. Arun Kapoor. So all these stories will be, you can view them in our YouTube channel. In every program of the Eminent Personality Webinars is going to be uploaded into the TechnoBiz channel YouTube. We're also looking forward to invite more rubber industry eminent persons from Sri Lanka in the near future. We will be scheduling, working together with all of you. Okay, and Mr. Cyril, Ms. Nadasan, Dr. Sisira, Mrs. Uganda. There are a lot of well-wishers in Sri Lanka for TechnoBiz, and I'm thankful to all of you. And also, I don't want to name many people, but there are a lot of people support our journey. Thank you all. With that note, just before end, please grow more trees in the surroundings of your home and workplace. Thank you all for joining today. Bye-bye for now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm closing the webinar now. Thank you.